Now then, brewers, bit of a change up this time around. I've run out of beer. It's absolute disaster. Completely out of beer. I did the beer Italia, which was fantastic. That was the all green kit from Dark Rock. I drank it far too quickly. Highly recommend that. The Nectaron as well. That was a really, really good kit. I've got a couple of all green kits that I'll do in another video, but I just need a quick turnaround. And if you recall, I mentioned quite some time ago that I had quite a lot of out of date kits, and it was a load of kits that I bought, I can't remember, from various companies, Malt Miller, Get a Brewed, the usual Dark Rock, the usual sort of suppliers, where I bought a load of kits, didn't do them for all sorts of reasons, time, I was doing some work on the house, and I've just been going through them just to try and finish them all up, I guess. You just make some quick brews. So I've got one here, and it's actually my last one. This is the last kit that I have got of the out of date kits, and it's Festival kit, Summer Glory, and I've just had a quick read. So this, well, it's a year out of date. I'm not too worried about the malt. That should be fine. Big questions maybe about some of the hop additions. I won't be using the yeast, which I'll come on to in a second. So it says light copper ale, off-white head, aroma, fresh floral character with subtle hints of zesty citrus fruits, and a taste wonderful and vibrant floral notes with citrus overtones and perfectly balanced dry bitter finish. It looks great. It's called Summer Glory. We are in summer. The weather is appalling. And it's whatever it is, 4 out of 5 hops on bitterness on their picture scale. I don't think there is an IBU rating on it. No, I don't think so, unless there's any on the instructions. But the only thing is, hop additions, Crystal Cascade, Marvellous, other additions, dried elderflowers. I bloody hate elderflower, but I'm going to have a go anyway, because it's the only kit I've got and I need to turn it around quickly. That being said, I get I don't know if anybody else does, I get the mashed newsletter that comes out. I think you get about 4 copies a year. I found it interesting. It's a nice little newsletter, and it was actually last week I walked down to a local Sam Smith's pubs. I live quite close to Tadcaster, where all the breweries are. And Sam Smith's pub's quite famous. You don't like use your mobile phone, smart watches, there's no music, no swearing and whatnot. So I just walked in and had a quick pint, and I read the book. You know, actually it was great. I love looking on YouTube for the reviews and stuff, but to actually read something out of a newsletter, it was a review that I've since seen on a few YouTube videos, which is this yeast from WHC Labs, the high voltage. And it was supposed to have ridiculous turnarounds. Never used it before. I think it's quite new on market, maybe back end of last year. But a bit of background on it. Temperature temp range for it, 31 to 35 degrees C. So that's absolutely fine, because I've got my Kegland Brew Buddy, which I'll have no issues at all maintaining that temperature. But it's a strange one. Attenuation 76 to 80%. Just pitch it as you normally would, straight on top. But it's an odd one, because if you actually look at the ales that it is recommended for, it goes from Pilsners to Lagers to IPAs to Stouts. So it would appear to pretty much NEPAs, West Coast. So it seems to cover everything. But on it had amber ales and blonde ales, so you lighter ales. Hence why we're going to go with this. So, my test. This is the test, which should be a bit of a fun one. I'm going to make it up as per the recommendations. What's it make? 40 pints, that's fine. And I am going to pitch it with this, the high voltage. I'm going to throw it in with this. I'm going to set my temperature at between 31 35, so whatever, 32, 33 degrees. There'll be no issues with that. I'm going to see what happens. Now, some of the reviews I've seen, you've got beer completely fermented out after 3 days. So I just thought it'd be a fun test with this. I bought a couple of these from where I get these ones from Malt Miller the other day. It's for something else. I actually got this in for another all grain that I was going to do. But I'd bought a couple, which you might as well with the postage now, if that makes sense. I often don't spend enough to get the free postage on the bits that I need. But when postage is nearly as much as a sachet of yeast, you might as well just grab a couple. So yeah, it's going to be an interesting one. So let's see what happens. Let's see how it turns out. So here we are with it. Very dark in colour. I was hoping it would be a bit clearer, to be honest with you. Then again, it's only a week of conditioning on this, so it could do with a little bit more time. But the head on it is absolutely immense. Cheers. So, high voltage yeast. I've got my book here because it was crazy. This original gravity 152. 3 days later 1009. It were done. 3 days. It's the fastest I've ever seen fermentation kick off, and I'll put a little bit in the video there. But to go and see the fermenter 20 minutes, half an hour after pitching the yeast with activity is just nuts. Would you use it on a kit? Of course you wouldn't. I mean, I put it on a kit here because I was just testing. It was just a bit of a play around with using a kit up, wanted to do something quickly. Because the downside with anybody who does kits, as we all know, is that they are always really malt heavy. That's just malt extract, and that's the case. So to be able to get a true reflection on how good this yeast is, I'll have to do it with all grain. I need to do something to see if it doesn't impact the flavour, as WHC labs are saying. If they're saying it gives a very natural fermentation, so I will use it again, and I will use it on an all grain. But I'm just blown away by how quick it was. As for this, I'm a bit lucky actually because it doesn't really taste of elderflower, so that's the result. There's a great head. You can see it's clearing up a little bit. You can see a little bit of light coming through it. Again. Fruity, quite sweet. It's quite nice actually. Very good mouthfeel for a kit. It's not thin at all. So yeah, mouthfeel, and it's great. So as a kit goes, I'd probably recommend to do it. And don't worry if you're like me who doesn't like elderflower, because you can't really taste it. There's a nice bitterness on the end as well. So you get that sweetness to bitterness. I've seen a couple of good reviews about this kit when I bought it. So I highly recommend playing around with WHC high voltage yeast. Very, very quick to ferment. Be really interesting to see what it's like in a couple of all grains. I really want to see the difference, because if they're saying that you can go from a stout to a lager to IPAs, you know, the proof is in the pudding. So yeah, well, I definitely want to try. So cheers everybody, I'll see you on the next one.